What's up, TWOSUN? My little spin. Hey, let's get it out of here. You know what? I, how much do you like the two with the sun and then the sun more than the TWOSUN? I kind of like the old school label, me personally. Yeah. Anyways, hey, I got a surprise coming with this right here. I'm doing something because I'm like that. I don't care much. Hey, so this video with this TWOSUN, yeah, it's the one I know it is. So this is, hold on, let me tell you everything correct. Yeah, okay. So this is the TS306 in M398 steel. This supposedly it's 8 better than M390. I don't know, man. I'm being silly. So, anyways, yeah. So it's M398 in a TS 306, and so this is kind of a PSA video, a little public service announcement, and it's at my expense, so that's fine. I'm here for the masses, man. I'm here for the peoples. Yeah. So I relearned a lesson that I knew on this knife, but I'm not bitter. Not bitter at all. And I'm not sure that I wouldn't have done things exactly the same. So let's run this thing a little bit. What about this action? I mean, the detent's nice. It definitely sends that blade flying. One of the things visually that attracted me to this knife, not just because it's pretty collectible, like everybody wants one of these, and mostly you can't find them. And if you're looking for one, they're not any for sale. And, it's kind of desirable, whether it's in the lesser steel or the M398, doesn't seem to matter. These are pretty high demand. But one of the things that attracted me is that flipper tab. See, there's something about a subdued flipper tab that I dig. There's knives that get them just so that they're just there so that you can just flip them. And I like that. So when I'm looking at a knife and I see that, that's attractive to me. The other thing is this thing's got amazing milling on it. Very pronounced. You can feel it when you grip it. It's got this nice carbon fiber inlay. I'll be interested to see how that's on the inside there, if that's glued in or not. And then it is a Mazwan Mokhtar design. There he is, right there. The M398 is designated right up there. It says M398. Yep, so there's that. And of course, Mazwan Mokhtar, come on, dude. It's got this ball. We'll see how that runs. I mean, because they're not all horrible. Mostly, though. So we'll check that thing out. Yeah, so the action's pretty, it's okay. It doesn't come screaming out of there, but man, that is a big blade. This is a big knife, and that's a big blade. There's a nice locked in position right there for sure. I mean, what's this weigh? It's not super heavy. 5 ounces, somewhere in that range. I mean, I think I'm close enough that I'm not going to look it up, but yeah, it's not super heavy. The action's pretty good. It doesn't sling it out there. If I throw some wrist at it, it gets out pretty hard. Let's try this thumb. Yeah, that runs. Definitely with some wrist. What if I try to subdue that wrist a little bit? Yeah, that'll go. What about a Spidey flick? Of course it'll go. I just got to get it. Yeah, so, I mean, it's got 3 levels of deployment there. I'm digging it. Hey, so let's get in it. And maybe I'll get into why this is a PSA announcement. So, you know, TWOSUNs, if you follow them at all, if you're interested in collecting them at all, I'm going to have to pull this pocket clip right here to get to the other scale screw. It's underneath there. But this is milled into the titanium scales really well. It's got a little bit of shape. It's not a lot of shape. It's into titanium, so that's better. But I think long haul, that's going to be fine. But, man, there's something in designing a pocket clip, there's a couple of things. One is it should run in and out of a pocket well. And 2, it should be secure in the knife in a fashion that if it's taking forces, side to side, there's no way that it's going to waller out through time. It'll last as long as the knife. Well, there's certain designs that, man, that is just not the case. So there needs to be thought put into that for sure. All right. So that is a carbon fiber liner that's screwed in. Pretty cool. I see some oil up in here, so I think it's a T6. I'm not going to take any chances. Like, I don't want to take this knife apart again, so I think I'm just going to take that out. Ooh, those are itty bitty. I mean, I got to be honest, man. If you're watching this, I'm going to recommend do not take this out. If I don't see oil in here, then my recommendation to you is do not take these itty bitty screws out. Because, man, these are the kind, look how tiny that thing is. These are the kind that you blink your eye, it's stripped out, now you got an issue with your knife forever. And so if you don't got to take them out, man, I wouldn't. So it'd be interesting. Okay, there we go. And look at all that oil in there. So I'm glad I did it. So, I mean, you'll have to decide for yourself if you're getting one of these. If you already have one, if you haven't taken it apart and you got oil issues, there it is. But look at the milling. Look at how they milled this carbon fiber. I mean, come on. That's on the cool scale, that's up there, brother. That's some nice stuff for sure. Let's get this blade out of our way, because we're going to get this other side. Absolutely we are. All right, well, those seem to be in there pretty good. I mean, that's on lockdown. Ooh. I don't think I'm going to mess with that, because that on a well, I don't need to go to this one, because if I'm not going to break that one, there's no reason to get here. I wonder if I take these 3 screws, if I'll be able to get that scale off. I think I will. I'm going to go for it, because if there's oil behind it, I want that dealt with. Wow, those screws are tiny, man. So again, that's not the PSA, but I can tell you from me to you, unless you're really feeling it, I'd recommend being very cautious about pulling these little screws, because you could find yourself in a world of disappointment messing with these little things. And I'm not sure. Yeah, there we go. That's going to come right up over those spacers. Cool. But man, those are tight, those spacers. And there's no oil on this side. So FY, I'd feel confident that if with yours, if you don't see oil, don't take that off, because there's no oil on this side at all. So much so, I'm not even going to wipe it off. I'm just going to put it back on. Get it back into position, put the screws back in. It's just one less thing that I got to deal with as we go forward. Yeah, going to be careful with this operation here too. Definitely going to run those screws reverse until they click, and then run them forward very lightly, to make sure that they're seating properly and I'm not forcing anything. So those tiny little threads, man. I mean, it's not quite watchmaker size, but man, it's fringing on it. Like you could see a screw this size in a watch for sure. So definitely run them backwards till they click, jump a thread, and then come back, and I'm snug tightening. This is not a mash it in there operation for sure. Till I have resistance. And probably go back and forth a couple of times just to make sure that, because you tighten this one get loose. You tighten that one, this one get loose. So just kind of go back and forth till they all feel snug. Yeah, so I'm going to leave this scale. Well, hold on. I do want to get that collar off, which that's not wanting to come out of there either. So, okay, well, I'm not going to take that off. I'm just going to clean around it. And so I'm at that point. I'm just going to start wiping stuff down. I'm going to clean that racetrack washer from here. It's got internal stop pins, so I'll clean that race there. And pretty nice blade. Formidable, man. Yeah, that's something. I like the shape. I like the overall of the blade. There's a couple of TWOSUNs I have that are similar. And I think I have a concept knife that's similar to this as well. Very similar. And not 100% sure what that's called. But I know when I see it, I like it. I go, yeah, I like that blade, man. So it definitely creates a lot of weight reduction, all these cutouts, and then they're filling it with carbon fiber. So I had a guy comment to me, a new subscriber, a while back, and he talked about me using my screwdriver to take these out. And he said he scratched a knife like that once. Now, I've never scratched a knife doing it. And I think if I did, it would be in the space where the actual pivot, the blade pivot, goes in. So I don't know that you'd ever see it if I scratched that portion, but I get his point. And so there's probably a better tool, a plastic tool or something that I could use that wouldn't put the scale at risk. You know, if this was a $600 knife, would I just go digging on it? I wouldn't. So it was a point well taken, man. I appreciate the comment. And I mentioned to him that when people make comments to me, I try to read them all. I try to respond to all the comments made. And but when people mention stuff that makes sense, I listen to it. And it very well could modify how I'm doing stuff. Absolutely it could. You know, if somebody points out, hey, you're doing that, and man, you run the risk of doing this. Well, I don't want to run risks on my knives, cause damage, you know, mar them up or cause problems or break something. I mean, that's kind of the whole point, I think, of some of my disassemblies is that I'm showing that it's fairly easy to do it. It's not complicated, but you should take your time and do it right, because many times in these videos, man, I get stranded. I get stuck, and I got to back up. I got to rethink it. And it takes some patience and definitely a commitment to getting it back together right. Like, this isn't something that you should be doing if you're not patient and committed to doing this absolutely right. Like, there's no shortcuts in this stuff. You know, even a $30 knife has tolerances and the way things fit together. And if you try to force them, you can ruin the knife. Well, you know, I got $30 knives that I don't want to ruin. You know, it may only be a $30 mid-budget, mid-low budget knife, but I still don't want to damage it. All right, so I'm going to put just a little drop of oil on that detent ball. Come on. There we go. Just a little bit there, and man, we're ready to reassemble. And hold on. Calm down. Take it easy. See, I was just talking about it. Get ahead of myself. And forget my little racetrack washer. There we go. Now we're ready. Okay, that felt better. Didn't quite give as much. Felt like I got a little resistance there. Okay. Little pocket clip. Oh, hold on. Guess that's got to go first. One of those longer? Nah, they're the same. So I still haven't gotten to the PSA. I really do like this knife, and I've been watching it for a long time. I mean, I've had my eye on this thing for a long time and just refused to spend the money that I was watching this thing go for. And so I'm watching and watching, and I'd put bids, and then there was no knives for a long time. They dried up. They went away. And so I put alerts everywhere. Hey man, if one of these pop up, I want to know. Well, lo and behold, they pop up on eBay. And so I'm watching them, and I'm thinking to myself, well, how many is going to sell? Because I really want one of these knives. Like, I got to get one of these bought. I want one in my collection. And I started to think maybe I should just settle, because I didn't want to spend the money. And so I thought maybe I should just settle for the lesser steel, you know, because that knife's quite a bit less money. And so I'm watching these, and then I saw another one come up, and man, it was just enticing me. And so finally I said, I'm going to take a run. So I took a run, and I bought this for an amount that was cheaper than I seen them going for, but it felt high to me. And I'm going to tell you what it is, but they've recently shown up on one of my knife purchasing sites for direct purchase for a lot less than I paid for it. So the lesson is sometimes patience is a virtue. Now, if I'd have waited and they dried up and went away again and I didn't get a chance to buy one, the message would be different. The message would be, hey man, sometimes if you want something, don't wait too long, because especially in these TWOSUNs, it could disappear, and then you lose your opportunity, and then the secondary market is the only place you're going to find it. You're going to find somebody that has one, and you run the risk there that they know what it's worth, and so there's that price plus a markup, you know, because they know if you're asking about it, you want it. So it easily could have went the other way, but my PSA is sometimes patience is a virtue, because had I just waited a little bit of time, like a month, I could have bought this for quite a bit less. But I'm going to talk about that price in a minute. So the action, I don't know if it's improved, man, but it's pretty darn nice. Just a little bit of coaxing to get her to come down, and going out is pretty solid. I mean, my thumb flick is my favorite, but the Spidey with a little bit of wrist, for me, it's not because it's taking that, it's because the dexterity of my hands require me to get some swivel movement. I don't have the arthritis in my hands doesn't allow me to powerfully throw that finger out. So in order for me to take advantage of that, it's a little bit of flick of the wrist and a little bit of my finger. Whereas somebody with good, strong, healthy hands could probably just sling that right out there with just fingers alone. Now my thumb works well. It's not afflicted like that. So yeah, I can chuck that out there. The back flipper, I mean, it's good. I like it. And I like the subdued part of it. Some people won't like it. It's got just a couple of little jumps on it. There's a little bit of grip there. Some people say it's not enough. They want a firmer hold. To me, I dig it, man. That's in my wheelhouse right there. I like it. Ergonomics. So the grip right here is really, really nice. I mean, the pocket clip's gone. I don't even feel it. Like there's some knives where you go, yeah, I don't really feel it's in there, but you kind of feel it. Like in this knife, I didn't feel the pocket clip. It's completely gone. I have somewhat of a perch for my hand here, and it's well known that I love my finger guards. This by itself, man, I'm going to say that's not a confident perch. There's more than likely, if I met resistance with this knife, my hand would come up and over, especially if my hands were wet. If I had wet hands and I had to come this way with this knife and I met something like leather, something tough, it doesn't got to be bone or whatever. It could just be good leather, a button, anything. My hand's probably going to give on the grip. But, man, this jimping right here, really aggressive and sharp, and just a nice little platform for my thumb there. So when you combine the two, that gets this grip from below confident, like confident, very confident, not so confident. It gets it almost to the confident, man. Like I'm right here at a confident grip with this, and it's because add this. If it's just this, I'm going to say not so much, but man, adding this right here and some downward forward pressure, that's a pretty dang good grip. Let's check out that pocket clip. And comfortable. I mean, just the smoothed edges, the milling, a really comfortable knife. All right, here's D-Day on that ball on the thick pants. Well, the thick pants are going to get under it. I can see that now. It's just how's that ball going to treat them? I mean, it's a little bit of hesitation, and then it bunched right at the very top of that. But, man, that ran pretty good, actually. Yeah, it's running pretty good in there. It's just get it over that initial hump. It runs good. So the fact that it's going to run good here means it's going to run really well here. Yeah, that's probably one hand there. I mean, this pocket clip works for sure. It's not super deep carry, but that's a milled titanium pocket clip. It's hard, it's not going to completely cover that knife. So it's minimalistic, that's sticking out of there. And it's not a bad look. I kind of like it. It's, I don't know, it's an upper echelon look. It's not a, you don't think fighting weapon or, that kind of thing. It's not an intimidating look right there. I personally carry here on the outside of that back pocket, so I like to check it. And yeah, if I stuck that there and rolled around on the ground or whatever, I'm pretty confident that that knife would still be there. If I reached back for it, it'd be right where I left it, ready for me to get it out of my pocket. So yeah, pocket clip's pretty cool. Let's check it for safety. Let's start with that tip. I mean, it's kind of out there. Let's see what's up. Yeah, I mean, man, I'm landing on the top of the blade. I can feel the top of the blade. And if I really dig in right there, I probably can snag my finger a little bit, but I'm going to say that's fine. What about this back here? I mean, looks ominous to me, man. That is a wide gap, and that blade is right there. So here we go. Can I touch it? Yeah, I can touch it in there. So as much as I like the knife, I mean, I got to fail that. If somebody was to reach in there aggressively, if this was down in a pocket and you reached in that pocket and your finger went in there, you'd be cut. So the fact that this back spacer didn't just come over and cover that makes no sense to me. I don't understand the oversight. I don't understand why somebody would look at this and go, hey, it's a pocket knife and you can contact that blade, but that's okay. Yeah, let's just stop the backspacer there. I mean, man, that's a flaw, bro. I don't. It's really baffling to me. Is this knife still like? Am I gonna, danger, beware, never put it in my pocket? No, no, man. I have a lot of these TWOSUNs that do that. It's just like the fact that to think that I'm gonna stop criticizing that. It's not gonna happen. I'm gonna talk about it just like I'm talking about it right now. Here's a great knife with a horrible defect. Now, I don't know if that's a manufacturing flaw or if Moswan designed it that way and doesn't pay attention to whether you're contacting that blade. I'll be honest, I don't really care. His name's on it and they made it, so I'm going to blame them both. Now, if one of them wants to step up and say, no, it's Moswan's fault. No, it's TWOSUN's fault. I mean, that's up to them. I'm just telling you, I got this pocket knife that's dangerous. Like I could put my finger in there and cut myself. And I've cut myself on TWOSUN knives. I've cut myself back here and I've cut myself on these tips. And so, man, I'm passionate about it. I don't understand it. Like you should never make a knife, especially for what, and I'm about to cover it, what this knife sells for. I mean, if you sold this for $30, does that make it okay that you can touch the blade, that you've got exposure in your pocket? No, it's a pocket knife, man. That's the whole purpose of this stuff here. So the whole purpose is to protect your fingers. So there's my rant, man. I wish they would get their stuff together and figure it out, man. Stop putting out product that's dangerous, that's not safe, that has flaws like this. It's just, man, it just makes no sense. And it takes the value out of your product, fellas. I mean, honestly, you go through all this trouble, man, to design this, to manufacture it, to mill it, to put it through your factory, to have people work on individual pieces, to source out parts, to deal with the steel and cut it out and heat treat it, to do all that stuff. You got a buyer sourcing this carbon fiber. Man, everything's happening here. And then you got your supply chain. People got to market it. You got to sell it, whether it's eBay or White Mountain Knives or wherever this thing's coming from. You got this whole line of stuff on a knife that's got a huge defect in it, man. It's goofy. Yeah. So, anyways, I wonder if the blade's sharp. Hey, if it comes out that I'm passionate about that and super disappointed when I get a great TWOSUN knife, and then I can cut myself when it's in my pocket. You right. Yeah, you read me like a Sears and Roebuck catalog, man. Like I'm transparent as could be. I hate it, and it is super frustrating, man. And at times, it makes me want to take all my TWOSUNs and sell them and just move on. This one little thing. It's like sending me a knife that I paid my money for that ain't right. I don't get it. It makes no sense to me, man. It's frustrating. And so now you guys have heard it from me from deep down. It's just nutty to me, man. I don't get it. And with all that said, is this knife still going to get time in my pocket? Yeah, it's a pretty cool knife. Yeah, all in all. But, so is it sharp? Better be with that blade, the way that thing looks. Yeah, so I'd like to say that because of how sharp it is, it makes up for that other, but it doesn't. Nothing can make up for that. I mean, redo the backspacer, send me a full backspacer and say, you know what, bro, you were right about that. So here, we've extended that and it's got a pin and it's, and I'm going to go, you know what, redeem, man. I'll come right here on this channel and go, hey, man, I'm going to eat all my words. Those guys care. They're really serious knife people and they're down to making a quality product. 100% across the board. But I can't say that because, I think the quality of the knives is getting better. But it's suspect, man, because they keep sending this. Like knives just keep coming with this and this. You reach in and you go, oh, I can touch the tip of the blade all day long. And the things in my pocket like that. And man, I'm really going off now. I probably should stop, but I don't, You know, I don't know if it shows, but I don't care. But some of these, man, this is so bad that it's down in my pocket like that. If I reach in, I mean, whoop, eh, bad news, man. It's just frustrating to have such a cool knife that is dangerous and can cut me if I reach in my pocket, all because we didn't put enough forethought in it to just run this spacer, this back spacer up here, to just take it to there. We just said, no, let's stop and expose the blade. Ugh. Anyways, all right. So price and availability, man. Here's the PSA. It wasn't all that safety stuff. Man, it's just frustrating to me to have such a cool knife and then have it go bonk, bonk, bonk. Because we can't get through these simple little checks, man. You know, can I touch the blade when it's closed in my pocket? Anyway, so price and availability. Here's the PSA. So I bought this at auction for basically $169. And right now, White Mountain Knives has these in stock. I'm going to try to run this video a little sooner. I'm going to bump it in my queue and try to bump something out of the way so I can run this a little sooner. But it's currently in stock at White Mountain Knives for $149. Plus, if you use my White Mountain Knives discount down below, you can get another, what is it, $15 off of that price. So what's that take you down to? 134 bucks, something like that. About $35 cheaper than I paid for it. And they'll get it to you in about 5 days. So I hope when this runs, they still have some. And if you're interested, man, go get you one. Is it a horrible knife because of this? No, I'm not saying that. But is this horrible to send it out like that? It is, man. I shouldn't have to forgive that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not gonna. I still think it's a great knife, but that's a terrible defect, man. It's just wrong. TWOSUN TS306 M398, a premier knife with a huge defect. Anyway, appreciate y'all watching. Hey, thanks for listening to my rant. I don't know. Everybody probably tuned out, man. You should. I shouldn't be so negative, right? All right, see ya.